What is up, and welcome to another edition of Worth a Watch with me, Anthony Flores. And my apologies for the random breath there, if that even caught on my camera, but I can just say this. Whew, thank God this movie isn't shit. That's why I breathe deeply as I'm going into this review of Godzilla, the newest, rebooted Who's a What's It's in the movie world today. I'm Anthony Flores with Worth a Watch. Welcome. This is going to be a very quick review because I don't have a lot of history with Godzilla. I knew of who he was. I saw the 1998 Roland Emmerich film with Matthew Broderick saying, "That's a lot of fish." And I don't know what the fuck that was, but yeah. And for some reason, a bunch of the Simpsons actors were in there too for some reason. But we move on from that rebooted mess that was that, and then now we have the newest film directed by the guy who did Cloverfield, and starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, aka Kick-Ass. Then we have Elizabeth Olsen. Who else is on this fucker? Ken Watanabe, the Japanese guy from all the Christopher Nolan movies. Sally Hawkins, and of course, Walter White, Malcolm's dad, Bryan Cranston. And the whole main gist of the whole story that begins in this particular movie is that Bryan Cranston that's another plus right away that I'll say. There is legit parts that take place in Japan. Some of the movie actually does take place there, which is awesome. I think that's something that not very many people gave much thought to for the remake. They just put Godzilla in New York. Yeah, fuck it, let's go. But yeah, the whole main gist of the story is that we follow Bryan Cranston's character, and he believes the government is covering up something, which of course we all have seen from the trailers. They have been hiding monsters. Very, very just enormous monsters for enough people, especially the stereotype situation of the Japanese people just going, "Godzilla!" And just, yeah, I know that's racist. I'm so sorry, but that's... I hate to say it, Ken Watanabe is like the most cliche person to say Godzilla in this movie, and I'm so sorry, but it's obviously very ingrained with the Japanese culture that have given us such an iconic monster character. And I will just say, well done overall, but there's definitely some issues with this movie, and I'll get to that right now. As I said, that's the whole main conspiracy. It's almost like a borderline political thriller dealing with conspiracies with Bryan Cranston's character. And then we have his son, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's in the midst of all the craziness that is slowly but surely the realization that the monsters are real in this universe, and they're slowly but surely tearing apart Japan and soon the US, which eventually happens. You've seen that in the trailers as well, getting near the Golden Gate Bridge. And I just gotta say that right away, looking at my notes, the bad stuff that I can right off the bat say is not enough Godzilla. I don't know how the fuck you do that, but yeah, I'd say tops there's about 15 minutes total of Godzilla being out in the open, attacking and beating the shit out of some other monsters in this movie. For those of you who are true diehard Godzilla fans that love the Toho, I believe that's the company's name. If I'm wrong, feel free to let me know how wrong I am. And those older films from the 50s and later on, it's nothing but a beat-em-up type movie. That is not what this is. This is definitely more, again, like many movies nowadays, they're going darker and they're just going for the realization. But in this case, it kind of works. That's where, of course, it can alienate true diehard fans and just casual viewers like myself who know of Godzilla but are very much interested to check out the movie to hope that it's good. And for the most part, it is. Just to briefly cover, as I said, the whole thing is it's realistic in a sense to where there's a science behind it, and there is also, more focus on the human characters. Very much like Transformers, but that was complete garbage when it came to character development. There's legit character development when it came to Bryan Cranston's character, Aaron Johnson's character, Elizabeth Olsen, who is the wife to Aaron Taylor Johnson in the movie, and Sally Hawkins is a scientist that helps out Ken Watanabe's character. They're both the main people we see as scientists in the beginning of the film. All the way to the end, they're trying to prove that the monsters are real as well. Or trying to study them, actually. That's their main focus. But the main problem I could also see is there are so many teased fight scenes. You literally see a fight scene about to happen, and then it's just like you see Godzilla just going ah, and cut. We go to a news report or some shit. It's just like, do you want to give us blue balls, people behind the movie? Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want us to do? Get so ready to get hyped, and then all of a sudden you just cut to some other random shit? What the fuck? That happened about 3 times in this movie, and the payoff at the end, in my humblest opinion, was worth it, but I, like everyone else in the theater, were like, oh. And the slow pace. There is definitely a slow pace. I remember people saying this guy, the director in particular for this movie, when he made the film Monsters, I heard that movie was also a letdown because it was extremely slow. This definitely feels very slow, but again, it's all how you like pacing, and if you don't mind the slow build-up, it won't bother you as much either. For me, I thought it was okay, and it kind of made sense, but not quite. I wasn't... Again, that's where I say this is the bad section of what I have to say about the movie. I think it's just so mixed feeling about that. The slow pace was very hit or miss. The character development, though, was good, I guess. And, of course, like I said, not enough Godzilla. That is kind of disappointing if you think about it. But the good I have to say, the final good stuff I have to say is the kick-ass fight scenes that do happen. Oh, my God. The audience was cheering. I was cheering. We're just all... yeah, Godzilla, kick his ass. And, yeah, that was awesome. That was a very awesome theater experience. And Godzilla, bottom line, looks fucking awesome. It looks like a threatening, nasty son of a bitch, and that could tear anything apart. And I think that's where the Roland Emmerich film completely missed the mark. It looked like some overgrown iguana. This is legit Godzilla. Every time they zoom the camera on him, that slow and steady, very good cinematography. That's another good thing. It was terrifying, and the staple roar of Godzilla gave me chills, man. Gave me chills, and it's just like, holy shit, that was awesome. And and there were, I think, a handful of nods to the original films as well. So, yeah, that is a mixed bag for Godzilla. Overall, though, it is definitely a good film overall. I think it has some major problems with the whole teased fighting and the whole thing about Godzilla's only saved for basically the last 20 minutes of the movie. I think that's kind of a bullshit call, but the fact is that the good that came out of that, unlike the Transformers movies that we didn't give a fuck about the human characters, it kind of actually gave a shit about what these people were going through. The peril of them just staring, thinking, holy shit, I'm going to probably die right now. There is legit expressions shown in this film when everything is going to chaos with the monsters destroying everything and Godzilla coming into their path. It is just legit overall human focus that was put for these particular characters. So that's good but bad. I can definitely see how if you're a diehard Godzilla fan, you may end up hating this movie. But as a casual moviegoer and a casual-ish fan of Godzilla, I think it's definitely a satisfying movie. It's definitely something you should experience in the theater. I don't know if the 3D IMAX is great. I only saw it in 2D, but I had a fucking just fucking awesome time in the theater. That last 20 minutes was worth the admission alone. But that should do it. I really recommend it if you enjoy Godzilla and monsters being just all around terrifying. So, along with some really good acting from the human characters as well. So, that is my review for Godzilla. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know what are your thoughts about this particular movie. And that should do it for this review. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on the Twitters. And I'm Anthony Flotis with Worth Watching, and keep going to the movies.